Hey guys, welcome back to my first ever Nuzlocke. Actually, it is a hardcore poison monologue, which means that I have to follow all the normal Nuzlocke rules, plus I've got to beat the game using only poison Pokemon. Before we begin, here are the rules. When a Pokemon faints, it cannot be used in the run anymore. I can only capture the first Pokemon encounter in each area. I can only level my Pokemon up to the next gym's Aces level. But I can grind enough XP so my Pokemon can level up during the fight. The only items I'm allowed to use are held items, such as berries. I need to name every Pokemon that I catch. And finally, if I white out, I got to restart the run. So the game begins as always, with a geriatric with Alzheimer asking what my gender is. I tell him I'm a boy, and I'm a funny boy, so I decide to name myself Jack Goff. And then the forgetful old fart asks for the name of his own grandson, so as a prank, I tell the Gramps that the better boy's name is Ben Over, and I laugh every time Jack Goff beats Ben Over in a Pokemon fight. I try to go for a stroll, but Granny here wanted to help with his balls, hoping that he meant his pocket monster's balls. Then he tells me to choose one from his 3 balls, like a pervert street magician. And then I choose this froggy boy. I name Bulbasaur Poison. By the way, I'll be naming every Pokemon as a song or band name. By the end of the video, leave a comment telling me how many you have got it. For my first fight here, even though Ben overpicks a fire type, my crazy frog absolutely pounds his salamander with a spam tackle strategy. The old man pays me to get his suspicious package on the next town, so the Popo won't track it to his house. It's probably a pie bomb. But it's okay guys, he gave me a cell phone with a Pokemon Encyclopedia app on it. I hand it to Walter White over here and go on my merry way. Then, on my way to my first encounter, the local homeless man stops me on my tracks to show me how he can catch my first encounter before I can even try. Dick. I bring Widow to Red Health, and then bada bing bada boom, this is my first encounter. I name her Sting, and that is very easy guys, I won't leave a tip for that. Mew and my waiters keep giving me complimentary waters. I evolve my Sting right away into a Kakuna, and then it is off to my second rival fight. He starts with his Pidgey, and I bring out Sting. I begin with trying to poison his Pidgey with Poison Sting, and there was a lot of repeated words in that sentence. Anyways, he throws sand in Sting's eyes, not a baller move, and I finally poison his damn chicken. I debuff the chicken a little bit more with String Shot before my Sting is brought down to red health, and then I have to switch to poison, whom in her turn tackles it down. Now it's time for Ben's Charmander, but I'm feeling fine cause poison level up with Pidgey's defeat. I let see the Charmander to get a little bit of passive healing going, and then I use Growl to lower his attack. Now it's the good old tackle strategy for my second win against Ben Over. And that was easy peasy lemon squeezy. And right after, my Sting evolves into her final evolution, a Beedrill. Such a good Pokemon in this run by the way. I took some time to level up my Pokemon up to the cap before my first gym, and then it's off to beat Brock's brown ass. Since I've chosen Bulbasaur, I won't be having much trouble with the first 2 gyms. Brock starts with Geodude, and I use Vine Whip to one-shot it. My poison level up after that, giving me a level advantage against his Onix. And then again, I use Vine Whip to one-shot his Onix. That was probably the easiest gym in this monologue. After that, poison level up again, and that allows her to evolve into an Ivysaur. Brock gives me Rock Tomb for one-shotting both of his Pokemon, and then I go back to my town because I forgot to raise up Ben's sister. I try to continue on my journey, but this weird guy here stops me in a corner. He just wanted to give me my J's that me mom bought from me from Wish.com. And now, I'm fast as fuck, boy! On Route 3 I fought my second encounter, a Nidoran with a male sign after its name. I used Sting to bring him down to red health, spamming Poison Sting, because he would be resistant to this attack and I didn't want to kill it. And it was an easy capture. I named my new Nidoran male Anthrax, and the tip for this name is a bald guitarist with a cool goatee. Right after, on Mount Moon, I get my third encounter, a flying blue and purple bat with no eyes. I use my new Anthrax to bring it down to red health, and then I throw my ball at it. After it was caught, I named her Scorpion, which would have been Scorpions to make sense for this naming challenge. Excuse my incredible brain fart here. Still on Mount Moon, Anthrax evolves into Nidorino, and I fight this nerd for a rock that I didn't even want. Anthrax loads his first two Pokemon, and then Sting wipes his third. After I got out of that damn cave, I got my fourth encounter, a purple snack. I use Scorpion to astonish it, until her health drops to red, and then I throw my balls at her face. Nice. I named the Ekans White Snake, and I can only ask you, is this love that I'm feeling, or is this Steve? Now it's time for my third rival duo. He brings out Pidgeotto and I pull out White Snake. I use Wrap to do damage over time, and then I try to poison using Poison Sting, but he kept throwing sand at White Snake's eyes, making her miss a couple times. The poison finally sticks, but he brought my White Snake to red health, so I had to switch to poison. His Pidgeotto goes down, so now it is time for his Charmander. I use Leech Seed to set up passive healing, and then one Ember brings poison to half health. I use Growl to debuff his attack, and then I have to switch out. I bring out Anthrax, and he immediately burns him. But with 2 Poison Stings, I poison him. Now it is a battle of attrition. But I managed to come out on top with Poison's Leech Seed. Now he brings out his Zebra, who really doesn't do anything, so I switched out to Sting to buff my defense with Harden before his next Pokemon. Now it's time for Rattata, who tries to debuff my defense, but with 4 Poison Stings, I bring him down. And that is yet another time that Jack Golf comes victor against Bandover. Now it is time for my 5th encounter, an Oddish, right beside Cerulean's cave. I used poison to bring her down to red health, but she kept healing with Absorb. So I decided to throw my balls at her face even with yellow health. So I captured the Oddish and I named her Poison Ivy. And this goes back way to the 1950s, so don't yakety yak about this. I go to my furry friend's house and he asks for my help to get out of his suit. As a prize, he gives me a ticket for a cruise ship. Now it is time for Misty's gym. She starts with Staryu and I start with Poison Ivy. My strategy here was to use Absorb to tank through her hits, and so I spammed. She used Super Potion once, but alas, there was no match for my spam tactics. And just like a teenager from Gen Z, she left my Poison Ivy confused. And now it is time for her Starmie. I tried to poison her using Poison Powder, but a single swift brought Poison Ivy to yellow health. Also, the confusion didn't help at all. So I switched to Anthrax, who immediately tanks a swift, and then I try to double stomp her, and she right after confuses me again. Just like all the women that I ever met. Double stomp does come true with a shit out for damage, so I had to switch out to Sting. So I used Twin Needle, which hits 2 times making Sting one-shot her. And that was Misty, who gives me Water Pulse and the ability to use Cut outside of battles. Right after my Scorpion evolves into a Golbat. And now it's time for my third rival encounter. Benover starts with his Pidgeotto, and I start with my White Snake again. And it is the same strategy of using Wrap and Poison Sting hoping for damage over time. But this time his strategy of Pocket Sand was more effective, making my White Snake miss all of her attacks and then bringing her down to yellow health. And then I switch to Anthrax, who poisons his Pidgeotto with Poison Point. And then I use Poison Sting for damage and Focus Energy to buff my attack for his next Pokemon. Pidgeotto dies to Poison and Anthrax learn Horn Attack. Now it's time for his Kadabra, and I use Horn Attack to bring it down to red health. Another Horn Attack finishes the job. He brings out his Raticate, and I immediately poison it with my Poison Sting. He brings my Anthrax to yellow health using Hyper Fang, and with my Horn Attack I bring it to red health. Before his Raticate dies to poison, I switch to my Poison. Now it's time for his Charmeleon, who immediately uses Smokescreen, which makes my Leech Seed miss. He uses one super effective Ember and I have to switch to my Scorpion. And with 2 wing attacks, Benover loses again. After that I evolve my Poison Ivy into a Gloom, and my White Snake into an Airbuck. I massage the captain hoping for more free tickets, but he ends up giving me a cut. And with that, it's time for my third gym. The Navy Seaman starts with Voltorb and I start with my Anthrax. With 2 Horn Attacks, Anthrax solo his ball. For his Pikachu, 1 Horn Attack was enough. He pops out his Raichu and try to raise up his evasiveness with Double Team. But that doesn't work very well for him, because with 1 Horn Attack it brings it down to red health. The Seaman uses Super Potion, so I bring out White Snake and inadvertently I tank 2 Shockwaves trying to use Dig, which misses. So now I had to switch to Sting, who also tanks 2 Shockwaves but finishes him off with 2 hits of Twin Needles. And Jagoff wins against the Seaman. Ew. He gives me Shockwave and I'm off to my 4th gym. Inside the Hippie gym, I take advantage of my flying type, Zubat. She starts with her Glock plant, and 1 wing attack brings it down to almost red health, so she has to pot up. Now with 2 more wing attacks, the Glock plant is down. She brings out a Messy Bush, and 1 wing attack leaves it with 1 health. Now she brings out her Vileplume. By the way, I used a Leaf Stone to evolve my Poison Ivy into a Vileplume, but I forgot to record it. Nothing to see here. She paralyzes me, but with 2 wing attacks, Scorpion finishes the job. And with that, Scorpion evolves into a Crobat. In case you don't know, you can use the randomizer tool to deactivate the trait evolutions. The Hippie gives me Giga Drain, and it's time to fight Papa Giovanni. Giovanni starts with Onix, and I start with my Poison Ivy. I use Absorb and it almost one-shots his Onix. Absorb again and he's down. Now it's time for his Rhyhorn. I use Absorb and he leaves Rhyhorn with 1 health. He uses Fury attack, but is no match for my spamming tactics. Down goes Rhyhorn. He brings out his Kangaskhan, and I no longer have a super effective attack against him. Still, I do poison him, and I try to combine it with Acid to do more damage. But I didn't realize that he was lowering my defense, and he one-shots my Poison Ivy with Mega Punch. Sad days. Sad days indeed. I bring out Sting, and with Twin Needle, he avenges Poison Ivy. Giovanni bails and leaves behind his cool shades. And now for some reason I can see ghosts. I finally used the Moonstone that was sitting in my bag since Mount Moon and evolved my Anthrax into a Nidoking. I was on my way for my 6th encounter to catch one of my favorite evolution lines, but this jackass here stopped me for yet another battle. He again starts with his Pidgeotto, but this time I start with my Anthrax. I use 2 shockwaves to bring him down. He pops out his Execute and I switch to Scorpion. With 1 wing attack, I one-shot his ball legs. He brings out his Kadabra and I use Bite to one-shot him also. Now it is time for his Gyarados and I switch back to my Anthrax. He uses Thrash, but my Shockwave is super effective, leaving his Gyarados in red health. Another Shockwave finishes the job, and now it's time for his Charmeleon. I switch to White Snake and dig a hole to bring him to yellow health. But both my 2nd and 3rd digs misses because of his damn smoke screen. So I have to switch to Scorpion and finish him off with a wing attack. And that was the 5th time that Ben Over loses to the almighty Jack Goff. And for my 6th encounter I catch a Ghostly in Lavender Town. I named the Ghostly Venom, and here you can go with 2 options, a black metal band or a fast picking rapper. Even though I always preferred rock songs, I actually like the latter better. I free this old man and he gives me his King Flute, which in turn I shove it up this fatty's ass, and that made him wake up in a jiffy, but it still took a fucking while to pass by him. But at least now, I shall pass. And I can get my 7th encounter, a Venonat in the route next to Fuchsia City. I use Sting to bring her down to red health, and use my Great Balls to capture her. I named this Venonat Boris. She ain't a spider, but this will do. My poison finally evolves into a Venusaur. And my Venom into an Halter. I use my Scorpion to sweep through Joe Rogan's Comedy Club. And all of this to get a Pokemon that I can't use. At least it was pre-XP. After that, I level up my Pokemon and in the process, I evolve Venom into a Gengar. Now it is time for my 6th battle, with Ben. Ben Over, I mean. I start with my White Snake and he starts with his Pidgeot. I spam use my rock slide to bring him down, but he nicks me and brings my health to yellow health. He brings out his execute, and I decided to maintain White Snake because of her bite attack, which is super effective against his psychic type. Now it's time for his Alakazam, which is also a psychic type, so I just used the same strategy. And with 3 bites, it is hasta la vista for the big nosed guy who likes spoons. He brings his Gyarados, so now it is time to swap with Anthrax. And 2 shockwaves is enough to deal with him, but he did leave my Anthrax in yellow health. So for his Charizard, I swap with Venom, whom luckily put his Charizard to sleep, who otherwise would have 2-shot my Venom. Now it is time to heal back all the damage using Dream Eater. In the end, he doesn't wake up, and 3 Dream Eaters just knocks him out. Now for the real boss, Papa Giovanni. Giovanni starts with his Nidorino, and I start with my Venom. With just 1 Psychic, I one-shot his Nidorino. Now it is time for his Rhyhorn. I use Psychic again and brings him down to red health. But he lands a critical and brings my Venom to yellow health, so I switch to my Poison. And 1 Razor Leaf finishes him off. Now it is time for his Evil Kangaskhan, who killed Poison Ivy. That goddamn good for nothing single mother. I start by Leech Seeding her to heal a little bit of her attacks, and using Giga Drain to heal a little bit more of her attacks. She tries to use the same strategy that she killed my Poison Ivy against my Poison, but it doesn't work because the healing is just too much, and I finish her off with a Razor Leaf. Now for his Nidoqueen, I use the same healing strategy and tank a little bit of her hits until I get tired of the game and switch to my Anthrax and finish her off with Horn Attack. Because he's horny, get it? He's horny for that queen. And that was Papa Giovanni. I get my Master Ball and skedaddle out of there. Now it is time for the 5th gym, a Psychic gym, my natural enemy. So she starts with her Kadabra and I start with my Venom. 1 Shadow Punch brings that goofy egg guy down. Now it is time for the silly egg guy, Mr. Mime, and 1 Shadow Punch does the same thing. Now it is the evolved version of the goofy egg guy. It didn't matter, Shadow Punch for the win. She brings out her Joker Pokemon, a Bug Poison type, but I've also got a Psychic type move, and 1 Psychic is enough to shut her down. And now it is time for another encounter in Safari Zone. And now I get my very own Nidorina, a mate for my Nidoking, if you will. I named her Belladonna, and you might know this one if you like aliens or maybe UFOs. By the way, I also named her wrong. It has 2 N's. Anyway, now it's time for my 6th gym, the Naruto gym. It starts with Coffee and I start with Venom because of the Psychic move. You may already know where this is going. My Psychic one-shots his Coffin and he brings out his Mukbang. I brought him down to red health, but he bots him up. Not very datebayo of you. And we repeat the same dance until he runs out of potions. Now it is time for his 2nd Coffin, which has the same fate as the anterior Coffin. He then brings up the upgraded version, but it doesn't change. 1 Psychic to bring him down, 1 Psychic to rule them all. And that is the 2nd gym that Venom solos. And I go for my final encounter, a Tiriku, which I capture and name it Toxicity. And then I ate a chop suey while listening to the radio video. After smoking a cigarro, I guess you can say it was a lonely day. Anyway, I get a bounce. And I was wrong, I had one more encounter, a coffin. I captured it and named Toxin. And this one, I'm not gonna give a tip, I'm just gonna straight up say the name of the band, which I'm gonna butcher, so it is kinda going to be a tip. Wildharta, on to Blaine's gym. He starts with Grow Life, and I with Anthrax. Surfs one-shots him, and he brings Ponita. Not Bonita, Ponita. Surfs also one-shots her. Now it is time for his Rapidash, who doesn't get one-shot, but Anthrax does bring her down to yellow health, and another Surf brings her down. He pops out one of my favorite Pokemon, Arcanine, and I use Dig to avoid his first attack, and use a step move which is also super effective. It one-shots his Arcanine, and that is Blaine for you. A fiery, cool mustache dude. And now it is time to beat Papa Giovanni one last time. Giovanni starts with Rhyhorn, and I start with Poison. I use Razor Leaf to one-shot him. He brings out the trio, and one Razor Leaf also one-shots him. Now it is time for his Nidoqueen, and I switch to Venom. I use Psychic once and brings her down to 1 ounce pubic hair of health. And you guess it, he put her up. But my next Psychic is a critical hit and one-shots her. Now it is time for his very own Nidoking. And he gets one-shot by my Psychic. For his last Pokemon he uses Rhyhorn, and I switch to Poison. Who one-shots him with Frenzy Plant. And that was it for Papa Giovanni. He gives me Earthquake, and now I can challenge the Elite Four. But not before another battle with Ben. Over. He again starts with Pidgeot, and I start with my Anthrax. 3 shockwaves is enough to bring him down. He brings his Alakazam, and I switch to my Venom. 1 Shadow Ball one-shots him. Now it is time for his Rhyhorn. And I switch to my Poison. 1 Giga Drain heals me back to full and one-shots him. He brings his Charizard, and I switch to my White Snake. 1 Flamethrower is 70% of my health, and I use Rock Slide hoping it would one-shot him. Which doesn't, and another Flamethrower kills my snake. I guess it wasn't just love that I was feeling, it was still vibe. Finally Scorpion finishes him off with Fly. He then pops out Gyarados, and I use Fly again without thinking, because Gyarados is also a flying type, and it isn't very effective. I try to use Poison Fang, it also does shit all for damage, so I use Fly another time, hoping it would change for some reason. It doesn't work, and I switch to Poison, who finishes him off with Giga Drain. His last Pokemon is Execute. I keep Poison and use Frenzy Plant, which leaves him with a nonce pubic hair of health. Paralyzes me, but it doesn't matter, because another Frenzy Plant was enough to bring him down. And that was my final over duel. Or so the Germans would have you believe. I poisoned White Snake and decided to pick up Toxicity for my final team. And now it is time for Victory Road, and it is done. And now on to the Elite Four. For my first battle I have to fight this redhead Frozone here. She begins with her Delgong and I start with Sting. I use Brick Break and it is super effective, but it only deals about 1/3 of her health. I try to use Secret Power to switch it up, but it doesn't do much, so I use Brick Break again to finish her off. Now she brings her Slow Brother, and I have to switch to Poison. I use Giga Drain and bring her to 1/5 of her health. And because she was hit by hail and brought to red health, she pots her up. But 1 Giga Drain brings her to about half health, which sets her up for the next attack to be a kill. And now it is time for her Sea Turtle. 1 Frenzy Plant is enough to one-shot her. Then she brings Jinx and immediately puts her to sleep, but my Chesto Berry wakes her up right away. I then use Frenzy Plants and bring her down to yellow health. And she puts me to sleep again, and uses Ice Punch. So I switch to my Venom and 1 Shadow Ball is enough to bring her down. She shows me her Cloyster, wink wink, and then it is my time to put her to sleep. And zibbity zobbity, 1 Dream Meter brings her down to yellow health. She pots her up and another Dream Meter does shit all. So I use Psychic and leave her with about 5% health. Even though she started spamming Protect, my 3rd Psychic finishes her. And now it is time for Brandon Schaub. And just as you expected, his team is pretty lackluster. He starts with Onyx and I start with my poison. I use Razor Leaf and it one-shots him. He brings out his Hitmonchan and I swap to my Venom. My Psychic brings him to red health, so now he uses full restore. Now he brings him to yellow health, so the next time I use it, it will be KO. He brings another Onyx and I switch to my poison again. 1 Giga Drain is enough to one-shot him. Now for my champ, I keep poison and use Frenzy Plant to pop his cherry, if you know what I mean. And then I switch to Scorpion to finish him off, but Fly leaves him with 10% health. So he uses full restore. I use Fly again and this time is a critical hit, which one-shots him. Now it is time for his Hitmonlee. I use Fly again and I don't need a critical hit, it one-shots him anyway. Easiest of the Elite Four in my opinion. And now for the old hag. She starts with her Beta Gengar and I start with my Alpha Venom. My Venom outspeeds hers and with 1 Shadow Ball absolutely depletes her health. Then she brings her Golbat. And my Psychic crits and one-shots her. Then she brings in the Haunter. And how many times do I have to teach you this lesson, old lady? 1 Shadow Ball, 1 health bar. She switches to her Arbok and the Psychic brings her down to red health. So of course she has to pot her up. Another Psychic and again red health. You know the drill, full restore again. So I decided to put her to sleep to use Dream Meter. And with 1 Dream Meter, I one-shot her. Now for her bigger Gengar. 1 Shadow Ball brings her to half health and her Bear activates to bring her to green health again. So I switch to Scorpion to use Bite, but it doesn't do much damage. But the second bite finishes her off. And now for the edgy guy that uses a cape to battle. He starts with Gyarados and I start with my Anthrax. I use Shockwave and even though it is super effective twice, it only brings him down to yellow health because it is an A-stab move. So I use it again and it is down. He brings in his Aerodactyl and he immediately gets poisoned by my poison points. I use Surf, which also brings him to yellow health because of the same reason, and another Surf is enough to bring him down. For his Dragonite I switch to Toxicity. I try to use Blizzard but it misses. Thank God I have a Cherry, which heals me up, and the second time is the charm. He brings my toxicity to a sliver of health, so I have to switch it up, and I bring Venom in. He full heals his Dragonite, and I put him to sleep right after. Now it is the Dream Eater spam strategy, which brings him down to a non-speed big higher health, and my Shadow Ball outspeeds him and finishes him off. Now for his Dragonair I use Shadow Ball again, which brings him to about 6% health, and a Psychic right after to again leave him with a non-speed big higher health, which he then full restores. So I switch to Scorpion and use Steel Wings, and it does shit all. He leaves my Scorpion with only 4 HP and I have to switch it out. To bring in Poison, and he kills himself in his confusion. For his last Dragonair I keep Poison in and use Frenzy Plant, and he leaves him again with 6% of his health. He paralyzes me and I use Razor Leaf, which does shit all for damage. He brings my poison to red health, but 1 Giga Drain heals me up and leaves him with a sliver of health. I finish Lance off with a Razor Leaf, if you know what I mean. And now it is the preparation for the last battle. The Burn Over battle. I level toxicity up, and now it is time for the champion. He tells me a bunch of baloney and we need to start the battle. He starts with his Pidgeot and I start with my Anthrax. I use Shockwave but it doesn't do much, and he then throws Sands on my eyes. Another Shockwave, and this time it is critical and leaves him with 1 health, which prompts Ben over to full restore. So now it is time for the ye good old spamming session. After 3 Shockwaves, he dies. For his Alakazam, I decided to keep Anthrax as a sacrifice to do a clean switch after he dies. I then bring Venom and use a Shadow Ball to one-shot him. He brings in Gyarados and I use the Dream Eater strategy by putting him to sleep and spamming Dream Eater. It doesn't do much, but I eventually finish him off with a Psychic. For his Executor, I use Shadow Ball and it barely scratches him. So I then bring Scorpion and use Fly to bring him to about 5% of health. He uses full restore and I use Fly to leave him in yellow health. And another Fly finishes the job. He then brings in Rhydon and I switch to Poison. And 1 Giga Drain deals his full HP bar as damage. For his last Pokemon he brings in Charizard, who fucking one-shots my Poison, my sweet Poison. And after all this time, my starter dies. So I bring in Toxicity and use 2 Surfs to bring him down to a non-pubic hair of health, and he uses another goddamn full restore. And now it is my time to be in the non-pubic hair of health area, and I use all of my life's luck to kill him in the next surf. Maybe that's why I haven't been so lucky. I've been spending it all on Pokemon. And that was the challenge run. And if you like this video, please leave a like and subscribe. I haven't done a commentary video in a long time, and I guess I'm just testing it out. If you enjoyed this type of video, please let me know in the commentaries. And if you have any tips for me, please also let me know in the commentary. Thank you for watching and have a good rest of your day.